I'm pleased to be able to have this type of face-to-face engagement with you. I'm sure you are as well, as we endeavor to inform and update you on various matters across government, which are, of course, of national importance. This afternoon, I will speak on three important matters. First is the Montserrat Capital Investment Program for Resilient Economic Growth. Let me do again. Capital Investment Program for Resilient Economic Growth, CIPREG, C-I-P-R-E-G. And secondly, one or two recent policy decisions I'll share with you. And thirdly, my ongoing communication with the United Nations C24 Committee and the planned visit that is ahead. I know that 40 minutes is not that long for the media, nor for me, but I want to go very quickly into the capital program details. However, I just want to let you know that we are still in negotiation with DFID over the CIPREG program, the $30 million program, £1 million program. So there's only so much I can say. We have negotiations continuing next week, within exactly 1 week from yesterday. And after that, I'm asking the Project Management Office and others to brief you in more detail shortly after. So I can only do so much today, bearing in mind that we're still in negotiation. The CIPREG program, as you're aware, the government of Montserrat secured £30 million with DFID. This program will fund key transformational investment projects which are critical for Montserrat's sustainable development. The projects which will benefit under this program are the fiber optic project, the hospital, social housing, and roadworks under the A1 road project, an extension of the A1 road project. And of course, we've been able to negotiate nearly $3 million EC dollars of the £30 million, or 100 million EC dollars, to address the urgent accommodation and other works at the Montserrat Secondary School. First, let me refer to the fiber optic. With regards to the fiber optic, the government of Montserrat has secured £4.9 million. And for this key project, we expect that it will link us into the international fiber optic network. As you already know, this will improve the resilience of our communications, which is absolutely critical to our development in many respects. And also, being an undersea fiber optic cable, it will protect us from natural hazards like hurricanes, because the dishes we have at present are not nearly as resilient as putting the cable on the ground. The project will open up new services for the public, unlock economic opportunities for private industry, including having telemedicine at our hospital one day. Currently, we're making significant progress with regards to this project. The team has successfully identified the preferred supplier to install, operate, and maintain the fiber cable. I repeat, the team, or team working with DFID, has successfully identified the preferred supplier to install, operate, and maintain the fiber optic cable. Final contract negotiations with the supplier are underway, and we are aiming to have an agreement by September, October. We have to set some sort of time, and I'm aiming for September, October 2019. Now, we all know that the hospital and healthcare is paramount for our people and for nation building. So the hospital project will be the highest funded project under the CIPREG program. We have allotted some 15 million pounds, 15.5 million pounds, but we know that figures change when you get deeply into a project, but that's what's been allotted so far. And as the Honourable Minister, Honourable Delmard Ryan, would have already stated, we have made good progress towards our commitment to deliver a new hospital for Montserrat with the aim to improve healthcare services. Within the next week, we will be seeking tender proposals for an updated hospital design for the Glendon site, which will also include the cost associated with the construction. Once we agree on the cost estimates for these designs, then the next stage will be to agree the funding amount and to progress the design towards construction. That is significant progress in a few weeks of working with DFID. The next phase of the social housing, which is quite a popular matter. We haven't had social housing in any large scale for nearly 15 years. And Government of Montserrat has agreed that social housing will be considered part of the CIPREG program. And to access this funding, Government of Montserrat is doing the following things. First, a review to current social housing model with the aim of making this more efficient and cost-effective. And secondly, to procure value for money designs for the next phase of social housing for multi-story and single dwellings. The terms of reference for the review of the current social housing model and inviting designs for the dwellings have been finalized. It is expected that the tendering process will begin later this month to support the implementation of this project. I think I need to repeat that. The terms of reference for the review of the current social housing model and inviting designs for the dwellings have been finalized, and it is expected that the tendering process will begin later this month to support the implementation of this project. And as I said, a total of about £4.3 million, somewhere over 13 to 14 million EC dollars is secured for social housing. On the road improvements, the project to improve the A1 road worth up to £3 million and roughly 13 million EC dollars is progressing with the road surveying well underway. We have to do some road surveys before we move to the next stage, and this should be completed by the end of this month, enabling design work to begin soon. And at the Montserrat Secondary School, where we've secured, as I said before, about 3 million EC dollars to address the accommodation issues and others that have arisen. In June 2019, it was agreed that some urgent works at the MSS will be funded by the CIPREG program. And last month, we secured pre-project expenditure of approximately 100,000 EC dollars to progress these works. So we got $100,000 to progress the works, the technical works needed to advance to the next stage. And the works will include the following: a comprehensive structural assessment of blocks L and M, which are currently not in use. The assessment will be put out for tender this week, this very week as we speak, and it will aim to provide a better understanding of how the buildings can be rehabilitated for future use. And restoring much needed classroom space, that is the main issue that we're challenged with, getting more classroom space. The outcome of this assessment will inform the next steps. In addition to the structural assessment, the CIPREG will fund other critical works on the MSS campus, and we are working hard to ensure these are completed as soon as possible this year. The government is committed to building 4 new classrooms within 2 structures on the MSS site. The procurement process has started with the aim to progress to construction as soon as possible so that our staff and students have the space they require. Certainly, a vast improvement to the situation right now. We are also starting procurement for the construction of the U-drain protection on the school site, and this will be implemented by the Ministry of Communication Works, Energy and Labor. The MSS will also see the construction of a new building for the toilets on the campus. Redesign work for the toilet block has been initiated to include disability access on this facility, and that is something new that's being added and therefore takes more time to adjust the designs. And additional topographical and ground survey works will also be conducted to support construction because of the change in site from where we intended to put those buildings. We wanted to use the playing fields which are level, and in order not to take up too much of the playing field space, which is already taken by other buildings, we moved to a new site, and that site, as I said, would require ground survey works and a change in design. Plans have also advanced for an improved environment and facilities for staff and students who use the pupil support unit. This will be housed in a much more fit-for-purpose space on the UWIC campus. A proposed rental agreement has been developed, and it is currently being finalized. We are also progressing designs to refurbish the library and staff room at the school. The MCWL is producing the scope, drawings, and estimates for this work. Once these have been finalized, we will move to the procurement stage, and we are anxious to get to that stage. As you would imagine, I announced in my budget speech on the short-term projects, and these are some of them. And as they go to procurement, we want, of course, to lead to some employment and work in the short term. Now, under the EDF 11, where we secured 18.5 million euro, in addition to the CIPREC program, the government of Montserrat's financial agreement with the European Union will make it possible for us to provide greater focus on the development of tourism, and this is essential, as you know, for economic growth. Having approved the new tourism strategy, the government of Montserrat secured grant funding from the European Development Fund to the tune of 6.1 million EC dollars. The bulk of these funds have been earmarked for a series of projects which are designed to attract visitors to Montserrat, while also ensuring that the island is in a position to provide a memorable visitor experience. And if you allow me, these projects include the development of a new destination website, enhancement of trails and viewing sites, improvement of directional signage, tourism industry training and capacity building, improvement of beach facilities, a tourism environmental and awareness campaign, and construction of a volcano interpretation center. As you can imagine, the spin-off benefits will be felt throughout the community, from tour and taxi operators to owners of accommodation and food establishments, as well as contractors, of course, and laborers who do the work. That will soon go to procurement. I'm pushing real hard to see that that happens, and that is why this government is taking as much time now to focus on getting our negotiations and our projects out so that people will feel the weight of what has been stated in my budget speech. And that is why today I'm briefing you on some of what's happening. And as I said, next week and later, after our negotiations with DFID, you will hear much more. Under the tourism projects, there's also signage, as I said before. Montserrat has approximately 180 existing signs across the island. However, many of them need to be repaired or completely replaced. These are important to the visitor experience, as you would imagine, and they will make exploring the island very easy, having signs to indicate where sites are located and where to go. Make it easier for the taxi drivers, tour operators, and everybody. And of course, that will be educational and make the experience more enjoyable. Then, under the enhancements of trails and viewing sites, hiking and bird watching are two activities which are popular to our visitors. And there are 8 main trails with a 9th embarked for further development. So we'll use the funds to improve the 8 and establish the 9th more prominently. The trails need to be continuously maintained and upgraded to make them passable, safe, as well as to have them in keeping with international standards. Some of the trails also require additional enhancement with the addition of handrails, signage, seating, and viewing platforms. We also have 3 viewing sites that require interpretive signage and binoculars. The funding will support these upgrades, which are expected to be completed by April next year. And thirdly, on the industry training and capacity building, as part of efforts to improve the overall visitor experience, greater emphasis will be placed on ensuring that individuals who provide services are continuously upgrading their skills. The Tourism Division will be providing training opportunities in a number of areas, such as customer service, a guide to good housekeeping in the tourism accommodation sector, tour guide and taxi operations, sites and attractions management, and presentation and packaging of souvenir items. Also in the area of social media management and culinary excellence. We are hoping to develop a new website, as I stated before. The Tourism Division is also aiming to develop websites that are up to date, a new website that will be up to date. I'm told that the one we have is 4 years out of date. It will play a key role in generating awareness and providing users with fascinating stories and information about Montserrat. One key aspect of the new website will be to ensure that tourism stakeholders have a platform to promote and offer for sale their products and services, for example, accommodation, tours, and transportation. This is something that many persons have asked for repeatedly. And I want to take this opportunity, after speaking to the projects, to mention 2 policy decisions that may be of note, and I'll mention them at this time. One, as you know, the value of non-nationals to Montserrat and our national interests must never be understated. And therefore, in relation to permanent residence applications, Cabinet has approved a moratorium until June 1st, 2020 on the saving requirements for persons who have been resident in Montserrat for 12 years or more. The savings requirement, you know, is 5,000 EC dollars. So this moratorium will waiver the requirement for 5,000 EC dollars savings. But all other criteria remain the same. And applicants will have to show proof that they are able to maintain themselves, whether through gainful employment or spousal and family support. As I said, the moratorium is based on 12 or more years residence and is centered on both socioeconomic and humanitarian grounds. And the other policy decisions I want to share with you today is with regards to our move to encourage environmentally friendly vehicles, green energy use, less combustion of CO2. So Cabinet approved recently that all 100% electric vehicles imported should be exempted from customs duties and consumption tax as certified by the Director of Public Works for 5 years. So if you want to get an electric car, now is the time to do it. However, processing fee will be payable in all cases. Then, with regards to hybrid vehicles imported, they'll be exempted from customs duties only, as certified by the Director of Public Works for 2 years. All other hybrid vehicles, other than plug-in hybrid vehicles imported, are to be exempted from consumption tax only, as certified by the Director of Public Works for 2 years. Then, with regards to replacement batteries and charging stations, they'll be exempted from customs duties and consumption tax for a period of 5 years. The processing fee of 5% will be payable in all cases. So if you want to get a duty-free vehicle that politicians can get and other people apply for, there is your opportunity. Of course, there are many other decisions we'll be sharing in the days and weeks to come. However, my last point today is that following my speech at the United Nations in June, in fact, on June 25th, the very day that 90 people were killed, I reiterated Montserrat's position and highlighted Montserrat's situation. And I have continued my communication with the UNC24 committee, and I'm in the process of communicating that letter that was requested of me by the Russian delegation. The Russian delegation wanted me to let the committee know through the chair what the request was for the committee to go to Antigua and the UK to visit Montserratians there, the reason for it, what caused it, and what, if anything, the administrating power is doing to help resolve the issue, I guess, of evacuees in Antigua and the UK. And of course, I am making sure to explain how what is being done on Montserrat impacts those in Antigua and the UK. Therefore, making the case for Montserrat, not just for us here, but for Montserratians all over, especially bearing in mind the importance of our repopulation program, where we want to bring our indigenous Montserratians who were forced to leave. It wasn't too much of a voluntary evacuation. So we want to make sure we share that information with the UN committee, who is in a position, as they are tasked, to assist us with negotiating with Her Majesty's government a way forward. And as you know, we've had a stronghold and deadlock for 20+ years, and I'm confident that these actions by the government of Montserrat will make a significant difference going forward.